Hi everybody and welcome back to Borderlines today. So I thought I'd speak about house rents or house lets, however you want to put it at the end of the day. There's a lot of people say to me, rents are out of control. They're going up and up all the time. The average price is absolutely ridiculous. You know, why are landlords charging me so much? So today I thought I'd have a look at it and see, are they actually going up drastically? Or is it what you should expect? Now, when it comes to the latest data and the latest statistics, and I know everybody hates statistics and say, statistics are a load of rubbish, but you can't argue with them, that's the problem. So, where we are at the moment in the UK, the average rent across the whole of the United Kingdom is over £1,300. Okay, it's about 1,386 quid, which is a lot of do-re-mi. So the reality is, if you go for a 12-month period, okay, from February last year, 2024, to February 2025, the average rent, get this, has gone up by 8.1%. Okay, so the average person is paying about £1,000 a year more than they would have 12 months prior. So the question is, why? Why are they paying more? Is it because landlords are becoming more greedy? Suppose you could put an argument for it. Is it a case of things are getting more expensive, being taxed more? You know, and the reality of it is, what you've got to take a look at is, if you're a landlord runs a business. They ain't doing it out of the goodness of our own heart. They're not the church, okay? They're running a business, okay? And what I did was, because I had somebody I know moaned at me about a week or two ago about one particular landlord. And basically, this was for a 4-bedroom house, not very far from where I live, okay? And the tenant in this house, this 4-bedroom house, okay, it was a very nice house. Had a driveway at the front, nice garden. I think it's bifold doors at the back as well. We're being charged 1,250 quid. Now, the going rate in that area, because I actually did the data, I checked, was £1,900 to £2,000. Okay, and if you take into account the government agreed that a lot of landlords, as in like housing associations, and that could put up, I think it prices up by about 3%, which have just gone up recently. And this landlord wanted to go way more than 3%. They want to go from £1,250 to £1,800. And the question is, were they right to do it? Because the thing with this particular landlord was they weren't doing any work on the property. They weren't making any improvements, you know, for instance, changing the boiler, new double glazing, maybe put a conservatory on, sorting out the driveway, maybe sort out the garden, you know, any of these types of things, new electrics, anything like that, weren't doing any of that. So nobody can put that argument forward. Was not going to do anything. So does he have grounds to put it up? So I started looking. What does a landlord actually need to pay for? So this particular landlord had a guaranteed, £15,000 in rent coming in on a monthly, for an annual basis. Okay, and then you've got to take into account what's his overheads. No, it's going to be paying about 15% to the estate agent to obviously manage it. So they're going to take their 15% cut out of it. Then you're going to have to pay insurance, because you're going to have landlord's insurance. You're going to have a mortgage. Then potentially you're going to be paying capital gains tax at It's either 23 or 24%. Plus, you're going to be paying income tax as well, at about 9%. So when you take that 15 grand, he's only left with about £3,000 to £4,000, roughly. You know, so then when you take that into account, he ain't actually really earning anything, because that's not going to pay him a salary. If you got, put at the highest end at 4 grand, you're probably thinking, what's the point? Unless I've got lots of property, say for instance I've got 10, 15 properties, then it's a different argument. You've got 40 grand in. But the thing is, at the end of the day, at that kind of figure, if for instance the boiler blows and you need to replace the boiler, your profit's gone. Because what's a boiler nowadays? With the install, you're looking at 2.5 grand. So basically the majority of your money's gone, and you've got to pray that you have no other underlying issues for the rest of the year, and then you're waiting for the next year, hoping that the following year is going to be better. So from that point of view, is he right for increasing it? Fundamentally, and I know I'm not going to be popular, yeah, he is. Because when it comes to the landlord's got to make sure that they can cover anything. And most landlords are just average people that may have inherited a property. Maybe they've invested wisely, okay, and decided to buy an extra property for themselves. But they're not rich, a lot of them. They're not. And I've known a lot of landlords myself. So then boils down to the argument, are rents going out of control? In some areas, there's a massive argument that they are. So, for instance, in the south of England, certainly they are. Pockets in the north of England, so if you look at places like Manchester, Harrogate, Leeds, Newcastle, those types of places in the north of England, you could probably name quite a few others, then there's an argument, yes, again, categorically they are. And it's the same in the Midlands and in London. But there's large areas where they're not. So what can be done? What can actually be done? And a lot of this boils down to government, because the government have done jack all for the best part of 40 years, if not longer. And I know a lot of people are going to turn around and say, yeah, but it's Margaret Thatcher's fault. She allowed local councils to sell their properties and they never reinvested the money. And I can't argue with that. I'm not going to argue with that, because it's true. Was Margaret Thatcher right for what she did at the time? Yes, she was, because it helped people get in on the house and ladder. Was she wrong for stopping local councils from reinvesting the money? Categorically, she was. So she got it half right, but she got it half wrong as well. So what should be done? Fundamentally, the government have got to pull the fingers out of their backsides and start building more properties. They've got to get property developers to stop sitting on their backsides waiting for prices to go up and actually build homes, proper homes that people want, because then there's more demand. Sorry, I'll rephrase that. If there's more properties out there, that should suppress the prices. In reality, not saying that inferior actually work, but that's the best thing. Or if people start trying to haggle with letting agents and landlords, then you might have a better chance of getting a better price rather than getting rinsed. You know, because when you're paying, like, you know, I remember when I got my first one, I only paid a month up front. Nowadays you have to pay a month and a half or 2 months. You know, so getting a property can be almost as bad as trying to buy a property nowadays. So Yes, something does need to be done. Yes, landlords do take the mick, but they also get fleeced as well by estate agents, by the amount of tax that they're paying to the government potentially. So they lose an awful lot of the money that they're going to invest to get these properties at the end of the day. So let us know what you think in the comments down below. I would appreciate it. We do try and get back to everybody. Also, if you are new to the channel, please do subscribe. I would appreciate it as well. But for now, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again a bit later.